All right, Rabbosai, good morning. Let us begin. We have an incredible daf ahead of us today. Brand new parak in Yirtzeh Hashem as well. So we want to begin by thanking our sponsors, thanking our Talmud Torah sponsors for the month of Shvat, Ed and Faith Wolf, for dedicating all the shiurim and drashos this month in memory of Faith's mother, Nessa Bas Velvel. Berachos Shimber for dedicating all the shiurim and drashos this month in memory of her husband, Avram ben Kalman Eliezer Halevi. A week of learning dedicated anonymously in the merit of a refuah shlema for Kalman Leib ben Genendel MS and Nechama Tamar Bas Bracha Sarah by Rabbi Mrs. Ziffer in commemoration of the Yarzeit of Rabbi Ziffer's mother, Rachel Bas Mary Yehuda Leba Cohen, and Daf Yomi shared this morning sponsored by Dr. Moshe and Ann Ellen Gavant in memory of Mrs. Gavant's mother, Joyce Blackman, Nechama Bas Shalom Yitzchak, on the occasion of her second Yarzeit. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, all the neshamas will have an aliyah. The cholim will have a refuah together with kol cholei Yisrael. So we also dedicate our learning. Everyone's been following in the news the incredible unrest and just spike in terror attacks in Eretz Yisrael. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, Kadosh Baruch Hu should keep our soldiers safe, should allow them to carry out their missions with incredible siyata d'shmaya, return them to their homes in safety and peace, and Emir Hashem blanket Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael in incredible and enduring shalom as well. All right, with that, let us begin. So we are picking up, today's daf is Lamed Hey 35. We are picking up Lamed Dalid Amud Beis 34b. A lot to do today. So we are up to My Ayin Lo Ra'asa. It is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 lines up from the bottom. So the Gemara says, My Ayin Lo Ra'asa. We'll say, what does it mean when it says, remember again, the Gemara used this same type of wording over and over. Ayin lo ra'asa. Ayin lo ra'asa meaning that the Gemara would say there's incredible reward for A, but the eye has never even begun to see the incredible reward for B. So, for example, the Gemara said, if you marry off your daughter to a Talmud Chacham, support Talmid Chacham, incredible schar. But to be a Talmud Chacham, right, a Talmud Chacham himself, incredible, even more schar. So my Ayin Rasa, the boss said, is incredible. What is this great reward that is described by this phrase that the eye has never seen it? This is incredible. Rabbi Shmuel Silber, Ze Yayin HaMeshumar Ba'anav Misheshis Me'bereshis. This refers to wine, special wine, that has been guarded in its grapes from the beginning of time. So both say, so obviously this is a metaphor. The idea being that the reward that waits for us, wherever this reward is for whatever it is, the greatest reward is described as aged wine. Aged wine. Right, so we'll say it's been aged about 5,780 years. It's quite a bottle, right? So we'll say, yayin, wine that has been aged in the grapes since the beginning of time. Rabbi Shmuel Rachmani Amar Ze Eden Shelo Sholta Ba'ayin Kolberia. This refers to a place called Eden. Eden is a place that no one has ever seen. Shema Tamar Adam Arishon Heichan Haya. So we'll say ultimately again, what do you mean no one was ever in Eden? Where was Adam? Adam was began. He was in the garden. V'shema Tamar Gan Hu Eden. Maybe you'll say Gan and Eden are the same place. Talmud Lomar V'nar Yotze Me Eden Lahash Goses Hagan. Gan L'chud Ve'Eden L'chud. This is actually very interesting. Even if you look at the pasuk by Adam says Gan Be'Eden, which tells us that ultimately again there's two different places. Eden, and the Gan was a location within Eden. Tan Rabban Abba say this is an incredible story. Ma'aseh Shechala B'nosh Rabbi Gamliel. So Rabbi say one time Rabbi Gamliel's child, his son, became ill. Shagar Shnei Talmidei Chacham et Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa levakish alav rachamim. So what happened? Rabbi Gamliel sent two messengers, two Rabbanim from the base Medrash, to go to Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa. So let's remember again, this is Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa that we saw in our Mishnah, right? Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa who said, when I daven for someone, I know if they're going to have a refuah or not. How do I know? If the tefillahs flow out of my mouth, I know they've been accepted. If I stumble on them a little bit, I know that they haven't been accepted. So Rabbi Gamliel, son of Osei, so just so you understand remember Rabbi Gamliel, this is the same Rabbi Gamliel that we just had before with Rabbi Yoshua, right? The machlokes about marriage with Rabbi Yoshua, deposed, replaced by Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, then reinstated. So Rabbi Gamliel is the Reish Mesifta, right? He's the Rosh Yeshiva. He's the most important Jew, the biggest Talmid Chacham, the greatest tzaddik in the land. His son becomes ill, and what? He sends Rabbanim to Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa to daven for his son. Kevin Shra Osam ala la'aliyah. Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa sees them approaching, and he quickly goes up to the attic. Ubikesh alav rachamim. And he, again, apparently Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa understood why they were coming. It must have been known that Rabbi Gamliel's son was ill, so he knew why they were coming. So he quickly runs up to the attic, davens for the child. When he comes, you guys could go back now. The boy's fever has broken. So so they said to Chanina ben Dosa, are you a prophet that you know that the boy's fever has broken? Lo navi anochi v'lo ben navi anochi elakach mikublani im shkura tfilasa befi yodiani shemekubel ve'im lav yodiani shenhu meturaf. So Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, I'm not a prophet, nor am I the son of a prophet, but I know that if the tefillah rolls off my lips, right, rolls out of my mouth easily, then ultimately, again, that means it's been accepted. And if it doesn't, I know it hasn't been accepted. And this tefillah rolled out easily. So let's listen to this. So these Talmidei Chachamim were intrigued by this. V'kasvu v'kivnu osasha. So they wrote down the exact time of this exchange. So Kishabau Rabbi Gamliel, Amar lema avoda, lo chasartem elakach hayamaisa, ba'osasha chatzasu chama, v'sha'al lanu mayim lishtos. Rabbi Gamliel said, it's amazing. They came back. They said, Rabbi Gamliel, good, happy to see your son is feeling better. By the way, what time did his turnaround occur? And they saw that the time matched exactly the time that Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa had come down and told them that the fever had broken. At that moment, the fever broke. Rabbi Gamliel said, and my son asked for something to drink. Incredible, incredible. V'shuv ma'is Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, shehalach lilmo Torah eitz Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, v'chala benosh Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. So we'll say another episode. Right? Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa goes to learn Torah by Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's son became ill. Amr lo Chanina b'ni bikesh alav rachamim v'yichya. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says to Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, Chanina, my son, please daven for compassion for my son that he should live. Hiniach rosha ben birkav ubikesh alav rachamim. Ultimately, Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, it literally means he put his head between his knees. The idea is he assumed like a supplicatory position. So he went ahead. You'll see why this is significant in just a moment. So he put his head by his knees and he davened for the child, the chaya, and ultimately Baruch Hashem, the child had a refuah. Am Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai ilma lehitiach ben Zakkai es rosha ben birkav kol yom kulo lo hayu mashgichim alav. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, I could put my head between my knees. I could daven the whole day, and it wouldn't move the needle at all. Heaven wouldn't pay attention to me. And yet Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa davens a little bit and is able to affect so much change. So this is amazing. Amar ishto v'chi Chanina gadol mimcha. So this is very interesting. So Mrs. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, so is Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa greater than you? In other words, so just so you understand, Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa was great, but remember, both of these other Rabbanim were considered to be, quote-unquote, greater than him. Rabbi Gamliel, Rashbi, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai were considered to be greater than Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's wife is intrigued by this. Is Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa a greater tzaddik than you? So we'll say, so this exchange is amazing. Amar la, love. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, no, I'm greater than him. So we'll say, so what's the difference? And this is incredible. Elohu dome ke'eved lifnei hamelech. Va'ani dome kisar lifnei hamelech. Rabbi say this is such an incredible and beautiful idea. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says, I'm like a minister in front of the king. The minister is more chashuv, right? The minister is more important. But what? The minister doesn't come and go as he pleases, right? As he pleases. Ultimately, again, Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, he's like the Eved. And Rashi points out the Eved ben bayis nichnas v'yotzei shelo birshus. It was an interesting function of the monarchy, right? The servant is considered to be of a lowlier position, yet he has constant, unfettered access to the king. The minister is considered to be of a higher level, but Lamaisa, the minister can't come in unannounced, right? The minister still has to make an appointment. The minister still has to knock. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says that the truth is, quote unquote, I may be greater, but Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa is like an Eved. And Rabbi, you begin to see what this means. You see, sometimes what HaKadosh Baruch Hu values most is not necessarily the greatest Talmid Chacham or the greatest intellectual acumen. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu often values most is emunah pshuta, is a simple faith. a simple, complete faith. That's why even this notion of Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa putting his head between his legs, but also what's putting your head between your legs? That's like the fetal position, right? Why is he curling up into the fetal position? A fetus is totally and wholly reliant on its mother. It cannot do anything for itself. What the mother eats, the baby eats. What the mother drinks, the baby drinks. There's a complete and total reliance. Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa had this emuna pshuta, had this simple belief of absolute reliance on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when you have emuna pshuta in life, you could accomplish so much. It's an amazing thing. We've spoken about this before, we live in an age of such incredible scholarship and so much access to Torah. It appears that the great challenge for our generation is emunah pshuta. It's just simple belief. Right? We're so smart, Baruch Hashem, and we have access to so much information, and we're so learned. Baruch Hashem, incredible times. But emunah pshuta, a simple belief and reliance on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A simple belief. I don't have to understand everything. Not everything has to make sense to me. Doesn't have to appeal to my sensitivities or to my understanding. But I believe it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said it. That was Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa. So the Gemara goes right. So we actually had this Gemara before. A person should only daven in a home where there are windows. Shne'emar dechaven pesichon le ba'al yasa lekabel Yerushalayim. Supposed to say by Daniel. So the Navi goes out of his way to say that Daniel davened by a chamber with windows. Amrav Kahana. So the idea over here is, we spoke about this, Shulchan Aruch actually codifies this, that it's not just a din in a home, but this is a din in a shul as well. A shul should have windows. The minhag Yisrael is that a shul has 12 windows. But the idea is that if a person has a lapse in their kavanah, they could look heavenward, and that helps to reorient the person's kavanah. So Kana says, I think it's a chutzpah, one who goes out and davens in an open plain. So we'll say, the idea is, Rashi says, Bebika, Kishuhu, Bemakom Tznius, Chalal of Emas Melech V'libo Nishbar. So we'll say, the idea is that it is better to daven not in an open area, but in an enclosed area, a tighter area. Apparently, again, easier to have kavanah in a tighter, more constricted area than in an open plain. Amar Rav Kahana, Rav Kahana said, I don't like people who publicly speak about their sins. Praiseworthy is the person whose iniquity, whose sin is covered up and obscured. So we'll say, this happens to be an interesting discussion. If you look at Tosas says, V'taima, lefi sha'az mispayish al chato, aval mefarish chatav, doma she'ino mispayish. So Tosas understands that if a person publicizes their sin, that means what? They're not really embarrassed about it. Masha'inkin, if a person is quiet about their sin, that indicates a certain level of humiliation. So the truth is, in Hilchos Tshuva, there's actually different models. Sometimes, again, a sin is publicized, if it's known, let's say, to the rabbim. Sometimes a sin is kept quiet, depending on the nature of the avera, depending on the person, depending on the circumstance. Hadjun alach ein omdin. I will say, mazel tov. 6th parak of Berachos. So we'll say here we're going to get into a lot of the incredible halachos concerning brachos. We're going to go a little bit fast through Amud Aleph, and Amir Hashem spend a bit more time on Amud Beis. We'll say, so again, how do you make brachos on peros? In other words, what's the brachos you make on peros? Al peros ha'ilan hu omer, borei priya eitz. We'll say on fruits that grow from the tree, you make the bracha of borei peri ha'etz, that Hashem created the fruits of the tree, chutz min hayayin, with of course the exception of wine, right? Again, we'll say, interesting enough, the Havamina of the Mishnah is that wine would also be borei priya eitz, because after all, again, grapes are borei priya eitz. Wine comes from grapes, so again, but wine has a different bracha. What do you make on wine? Shalayayin omer borei peri hagafen. Va'peros haaretz, and fruit that grows from the ground. Omer borei pri ha'adama. You make a bracha borei pri ha'adama, chutz min ha'pas. And also with the exception ultimately of bread, again, even though bread comes from the ground. Sha'ala pasu omer hamotzi lechem min haaretz. So right, so far what we begin to see is that wine gets its own bracha, bread gets its own bracha. Va'al ha'irakos, what about on vegetables? Ohu omer borei pri ha'adama. Vegetables, you make the bracha borei pri ha'adama. Rabbi Huda omer borei minei dishoim. So we'll say, interestingly enough, Rabbi Huda has a different bracha. He says borei minei dishoim for the good Rashi. We'll say desha, right? Desha is like grass, right? Grass or herbs. So we'll see why he makes this bracha. Rashi says, "Barimine dishan lefi sheyesh bechlal pri ha'adama dishan uzroim kegon kitnios." Rabbi Huda by Heker bracha lechol minumin. So we're going to see in the Gemara that one of the most interesting discussions we'll have when it comes to the halachos of brachos is how much specificity is required in a particular bracha. Rabbi Huda is going to be of the opinion that the greater the specificity, the greater the praise the bracha represents. So we'll see this in the Gemara itself. Good. So Menahani Mili. So we'll say the Gemara asks in general. Remember, the Mishnah's jumping point, the Mishnah's departure point is, what's the bracha you make on various items? The Gemara says, let's back up a little bit. Menahani Mili. How do you know that you make brachos on items before you eat it? Right? We're doing it. Remember again, midaraisa. The only bracha we know is what? Benching, right? V'achalta v'savata uveirachta. Now, what that applies to, how it applies, okay, we could see, but lamaisa, that bracha is made after you eat. So from where do I know that I make a bracha before I eat? So the Tan Rabbanon, Kodesh Hilulim LaHashem. So we'll say, listen to this. So the pasuk that the Gemara quotes over here is as follows. The pasuk reads, this is in Vayikra, Yutes Chavdalid, Ubishana Harevias Yihya, Kol Pirio Kodesh Hilulim LaHashem. So we'll say, so remember again, a bit of context here. There's a halach of Arla. Arla says that when you go ahead and you plant a tree, for the first 3 years, that fruit is off limits, right? You're not allowed to consume it. In the fourth year, it's what's called nata revai or revai. 4th year produce, Shabbosai, you are permitted from the tree, you are permitted to eat. But there's one caveat, which is you have to bring it to Yerushalayim. You have to eat in Yerushalayim. So almost pretty much what does it resemble? It resembles Meiser Sheni. Just like Meiser Sheni is your tithe, you could eat it, it belongs to you, but you have to bring it up to Yerushalayim. So this Revai, this 4th year produce is yours, but you must bring it up to Yerushalayim. So the way the Torah phrases it is, Ubeshana Haravias, in the 4th year, meaning the 4th year of the tree, 4th year produce, Yeh Kol Pirio, Kodesh Hilulim LaHashem. So we'll say, so the fruit will be Kodesh, will be sanctified, Hilulim. Now Hilulim sounds like what? Hilul, right? So sanctified or praised, but it's plural. It's plural. So the Gemara says, understand. So what does this teach us? Kodesh Hilul Hashem Melamed Shetunim Bracha Lifneim Olachareim. So both say the plurality of this word Hilulim means there's 2 hallels, there's 2 praises, right? What are the 2 praises that are associated ultimately again with 4th year produce? The 2 praises are a bracha before you eat it, and a bracha after you eat it. So Kodesh Hilulim LaHashem teaches us that there is a bracha before you eat and a bracha after you eat. Mikan Am Rabbi Akiva. From here, Rabbi Akiva said, Asr li Adam sheyitom klum kodem sheyivarech. So Rabbi Akiva said, you see from here that a person is not permitted to eat anything before he goes ahead and makes a bracha. That's the idea. So we'll say now again, what the Gemara is suggesting over here is that essentially Revai, 4th year fruit, creates a paradigm that just like 4th year fruit, Kodesh Hilulim LaHashem, double Hilul, double praise. Double praise is a bracha before you eat and a bracha after you eat. That becomes the paradigm for all items. Everything requires a bracha before you eat and a bracha after you eat. So it says the Gemara, V'hai Kodesh Hilulim l'hachi u'da'asa. So we'll say, one second, is that what we use Kodesh Hilulim for? Hai mi boile. We need Kodesh Hilulim for a different drasha. Chad da'amar achmana achle v'hadar achle. So we'll say, the Gemara says, we use those words for something else. Hilulim represents 2 hiluls, two concepts, right? Two praises. So we'll say, so one hilul teaches us that actually we'll say, the hey and the ches in both biblical Hebrew and Aramaic are interchangeable. So the Gemara says, first Hillel teaches us achle v'hadar achle, which teaches us that kerem revai, if you will say, let's say for whatever reason you can't take it up to Yerushalayim. So what's the halacha? You could redeem it onto money, right? And you could go ahead and remove the sanctity from the 4th year produce, just like Meiser Sheni. And then you could then go ahead, you have to take the money to Yerushalayim, but Lamaisi, you could eat the fruit right where you are. So the first Hillel teaches us that ultimately what? You have to, if you want to eat it where you are, you must first deconsecrate it, and then you can eat it. The Idach, the other Hillel teaches us, Davar HaTa'on Shira, Ta'on Chilul. Teaches us, I will say that what? Something that requires song, literally, requires redemption. V'she'ino ta'un shira, ein ta'un chilul. But if it doesn't require song, it doesn't require chilul. So we'll say, what does this mean? Ultimately, again, requires song. Look at Rashi. She'in omrim halavim shir shal karam mikdash ela alayan kishamanachsim nischim mizbeach. So we'll say, so according to this drasha, the first Hillel teaches me that if you don't want to take the fruit to Yerushalayim, you need to deconsecrate them and then you can eat them. Second Hillel teaches me that what? What requires deconsecration? Only something that requires shira. Right? What requires shira bosai? It's only grapes, only wine. Because wine, remember again, was used for nesachim. Wine was used for libations, which was part of sacrificial service, which was accompanied by Levitic song. So only that which requires shira requires tchilu. Which according to this Joshua, what it's saying is like this: the din of fourth year produce, according to this approach, only applies to what? Only applies to grapes and to nothing else. Rabbi Shmuel Silber. How do you know that you only say shira? Which also means, how do we know that it's only wine that is poured in the Beis Hamikdash? Wine gladdens God and it gladdens people. So I'll say, I understand how wine gladdens people, right? That we all understand. But how does wine gladden? How does wine make HaKadosh Baruch Hu happy? So from here we see that what? How does wine make HaKadosh Baruch Hu happy? Kiviyachol? By shira. By being used as part of temple service. It's used for libations, for nesachim, and the Leviim sing shira around it. Hani chalaman detani nata revai. So we'll say, so going back for just a moment, so we'll say, so here's what we have. So remember again, we now have a machlokus about what to do. Here's what we know. The pasuk by fourth year produce says hilulim, which is plural, right? 2 hiluls, 2 praises. So the shaila now is, what do we do with those 2 praises? So the first approach said, that becomes the source for what? Bracha before you eat and bracha after you eat. The Gemara says, 1 second, we already used that drasha for something else. The 2 hiluls teach us what? Number 1, that first, if you want to eat fourth year produce outside of Yerushalayim, number 1, you must first redeem it, then you could eat it. And number 2, only that which requires shira, bless you, requires chilul, requires redemption. Only thing that requires shira, quote unquote requires shira, part of shira is grapes, which sounds like what? Which sounds like it's only grapes that require deconsecration, or only grapes which fourth year produce status applies. So this makes sense according to the opinion who says that the fourth year designation applies to any fruit. So we'll say, but if you hold that the fourth year restrictions only apply to kerem, only apply to a vineyard, then what is there to say? The itmar Rabbi Shmuel Chad tani kerem revai, v'chad tani nota revai. So we'll say, so remember again, now we're getting into another machlokas. What's the other machlokas? What does fourth year designation apply to? Right, so we'll say, remember again, we know that Arla applies to all fruit trees. That we know. Arla applies to all fruit trees. Obviously, a vineyard is included in that as well. So the shaila now, the machlokes is, what does fourth year, we'll call it revai. What does revai fourth year status apply to? Does that apply to kerem, just to a vineyard, just to grapes? Or does that apply to nata? Does that apply ultimately again to all trees as well, to all fruit as well? So the Gemara says, here we go. So the Gemara says, the date Rabbi Shimon Rabbi, chad tani kerem revai, v'chad tani nata revai. So I'll say, if you hold that ultimately again, that it refers to ultimately to kerem revai, to a vineyard, then ultimately again, it works if you learn out the gzer shava. We'll see what the gzer shava is in just a moment. So the Gemara says, this Sanya, Rabbi Omer, ne'emar kan lahosif lachem tevuaso, v'ne'emar lahalan utevuas hakerem. So I'll say, it says over here, this is by fifth year produce. So by fifth year produce, the Torah says, Ubashana chamishis tochlu es pirio lahosif lachem tevuaso. So obviously when you come to fifth year produce, there is no restrictions at all. So it says lahosif lachem tevuaso, v'ne'emar lahalan, and ultimately again this is by kilayim, by forbidden mixtures, it says utevuas hakerem. Malahalon kerem, afkan kerem. So we'll say, so therefore again, you'll say just like by kilayim, forbidden mixtures is only by a vineyard, so to by fifth year produce, it's also referring to a vineyard, which then tells me that what? Fourth year restrictions are also only by a vineyard. So the Gemara says, if that's the case, yaser le chad hilul lebracha. And I will say, if that's the case, then one of my hilulim is open. I don't need it for the drasha, and I could what? Learn it out to teach me, or use it to teach me to make a bracha before I eat. V'ilo yalev gezer shava min alei. But if you don't hold this gezer shava, then where do you learn out a bracha before you eat? V'nam yalev gezer shava ashkechan la'acharav. Furthermore, even if you use the gezer shava only helps you to learn out a bracha after you eat. The fun of minayin. Where will you learn out a bracha before you eat? Halo kasha. So we'll say that's not a problem. I'll tell you why. Da'asya b'kavachomer. We'll say the fact that you make a bracha before you eat can be learned out from a bracha. The fact that you make a bracha after you eat. How so? Kishu saveh mevarich. If you're going to make a bracha when you're full, kishu roiv lo kol shekain. So it's an interesting kavachomer, right? If you make a bracha when you're sated, when you're full, so of course you should make a bracha when you're hungry. The idea being, I guess, that you appreciate the food much more when you're hungry and you want it more than ultimately once you're sated. So the Gemara says, Ashkechon kerem. So we'll say ultimately, so now only thing I know is a bracha by a kerem. What about by other items? The yalif mi kerem. Ma kerem davar shenen avatom bracha. So we'll say just like a kerem is something, a vineyard is something from which I get benefit, and it requires a bracha. Af kol davar shenen atom bracha. So to anything from which I get benefit requires a bracha. Okay, so if that's the case, kerem will serve as the paradigm for bracha. So the Gemara says, I'll tell you why it doesn't work. Ikela mifrach. You could ask a pirch on that kavachomer. Ma lekerem shekein chayev ba'olalos. Both say kerem is an interesting halacha. When you are harvesting your vineyard, the halacha is you must leave olalos. Olalos are small little grapes, right? They're grape clusters. They're both saying the same way that when harvesting your field, you must leave certain things behind for the poor, for the workers. So too over here, when harvesting your vineyard, you must leave behind the smaller grapes. So I'll say, so therefore again, how can you learn out just because there's a bracha by kerem? How can you learn out bracha to everything else? Kerem has a unique halacha, to which the Gemara says, kama tochiach. Standing grain will go ahead and prove this. So we'll say why? Because when it comes to bread, when it comes to grain, we have a bracha by grain. Because right after the Torah speaks about grain, what does it say? V'achalta v'sabato v'rachta. So we'll say that just like grain requires a bracha, so too every other food item requires a bracha. That's not going to work. I'll tell you why. Malakama shekin chayeves bechala. So we'll say bread is also different. Why? Because bread is subject to the laws of challah. To which the Gemara says, Karim yochiach v'chazar adin lo ra'izeh k'ra'izeh v'lo ra'izeh k'ra'izeh. In reality, these items are totally dissimilar. But there is a common denominator. The common denominator is that both grain and grapes are items from which you derive benefit, and they require a bracha. We can learn that from here. Af called davar shenene tom bracha. So to both say anything that gives you benefit requires a bracha. 1 second. There's another common denominator between grain and grapes, which is both of them have tzad mizbeach. Both of them can be offered up on the altar, right? Grapes through wine, through libations, nesachim, and ultimately grain how? Through menachas, right? Mincha offerings, or lechem apanim, va'as. The Gemara says if that's the case, va'asi nami zayis the ispeit tzad mizbeach. There's also olives, right? Olives that are offered up on the altar. To which the Gemara says, "V'zayis mitzad mizbeach asi v'habe'ajik sivbei kerem." But say, so the truth is, I don't need to bring in. I will say, I don't need to prove that there's a bracha on olives. Ultimately, from tzad mizbeach, olives are different. Why? Because the Torah uses the lashon of kerem. Actually, the Navi uses the lashon of vineyard when it comes to olives. Dichsiv vayivar migad shvat kamavad kerem zayis. Papa kerem zayis ikri, kerem stamalo ikri. So I'll say, by it comes to olives, the psukim call it a kerem zayis, but not stamach kerem. Therefore, it can't be learned out from a regular vineyard. Mikol makom kashya, ma'ala atzara sheva sheben sheken yesh ban tzad mizbeach. So I'll say, so it could very well be that going back for a moment, the common denominator between grapes and grain is that they're both offered up on an altar. So maybe I'll say only items from which you get benefit and are also offered up on the altar require a bracha. But if you don't have a tzad mizbeach, maybe you don't get a bracha. Rather, I can learn out the halachos of bracha from the 7 species. We'll say second wide line, Lamed Hamad Aleph. Ma'alat Shivas Haminim Shekein Shdavar Shenena Bahen V'Ton Bracha. We'll say when it comes to the Shivas Haminim, so Shivas Haminim, the 7 species that Eretz Yisrael is blessed with. So we'll say these items are items that you get benefit from, and they require a bracha. Now, Rabbi say, now where do you know that Shivas Haminim go ahead and get a bracha? So Rashi points out over here, because when the Torah speaks of the Shivas Haminim, Erez, Chita, Seora, Gefen, Tena, so on and so forth, right after that, what does it say? V'achalta, v'savata, uveirachta. So the juxtaposition teaches me that the Shivas Haminim, the 7 species with which Eretz Yisrael is blessed, ultimately get a bracha. So I'll say like this. So we'll say what's unique about the Shivas Haminim? Davar Shenen Evetam Bracha is something I get benefit from, and it requires a bracha. Af Kol Davar Shenen Evetam Bracha. So we'll say, what do I see? I can learn from this. Anything from which I get benefit requires a bracha. To which the Gemara says, 1 second. Shivas Haminim is different, because Shivas Haminim is subject to the laws of Bikurim, which other items are not. So the Gemara says, Va'od Hatenach La'acharav. Furthermore, again, all I learned from Shivas Haminim is what? That I have to make a bracha after I eat. Lefanav minayin. I don't know that I have to make a bracha before I eat. Halo kasha. Well, says that's not a problem. Dasi b'kavachomer. Kishu saveh mevarich. Kishu roiv l'kol shekain. But say that I can learn that from a kavachomer. If you make a bracha when you're sated, you'll certainly make a bracha when you're hungry. Ulamanda tani nataravai. So I'll say, going back for just a moment, the one who says that fourth year status applies to all fruits of trees. Hatinach kol davar shenatia. Delav bar natia ki go basa beitzim v'dagim in alei. So I'll say, even if you hold not the Ravai, that only teaches you that what? That items that grow from trees are subject to the halachas of a bracha. How do I know about stuff that doesn't grow from a tree? Like eggs, like fish, like meat. Where do I learn from a bracha? So I'll say, after this entire exhaustive exercise, the Gemara's conclusion is, Ella svarahu. The Gemara says, you're right. At the end of the day, bracha rishona, the idea that we make a bracha before we eat, is not learned out from psukim. It's not learned out from Karim Ravai, not the Ravai, Kodesh Hilulim Lashem, none of that. It's a svara, right? It's logic. What's the logic? Asr la adam sheyehena min ha'olam hazeh below bracha. You are not permitted to benefit from this world without a bracha. Rabbi says we're going to see the world belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and everything in it belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And what's basic midos that we try to instill within our children, within ourselves? You don't take something that doesn't belong to you without asking permission. Nothing in this world belongs to me. The apple, right? The steak, none of it belongs to me. It belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The bracha is the way that I ask permission from God to utilize something in His world. So the Gemara says it's not a pasuk, svara. Asr la'adam sheyena min ha'olam hazeh below bracha. Incredible. Turn Rabbanan. Shabbos say asr la'adam sheyena min ha'olam hazeh below bracha. Shabbos say, first I know some of you are getting worried, like, oh my gosh, this is like real Gemara, all halacha, right? No stories, no nothing. Rest assured, there's still some. I got it ahead of us. So turn Rabbanan. Asr la'adam sheyena min ha'olam hazeh below bracha. It is prohibited for a person to benefit from this world without making a bracha. V'cholanena min ha'olam hazeh below bracha ma'al. And what's actually amazing? If you benefit from this world without making a bracha, you've committed mi'ilah. What's mi'ilah? If you go over to the Beis HaMikdash and you take temple property and you use it for your own personal use, that's called mi'ilah. Misappropriation of sacred property. To enjoy something from this world without making a bracha on it is a misappropriation of divine property. It's not yours. It's not yours. And ultimately, the only way you have the right to drink the cup of coffee, to eat the sandwich, to whatever it is if you ask permission from God. And that's in the form of a bracha. Otherwise, you're misappropriating divine property. So I will say, so what's the remedy? You should go to a Talmid Chacham, get yourself a Rebbe, he'll teach you brachos. So listen how the Gemara reads. If you eat without a bracha, right? If you partake without a bracha, you've committed a mi'ilah. So what should you do? Go to a Rebbe to teach you brachos. So 1 second, but I already ate without a bracha. So what good is it going to do for me to go to my Rebbe now? To which the Gemara says, no. Ela amarava yelech etzel chacham meikara ve'elam dena brachos kedei shelo yavo lidei mi'ilah. No. You have to be proactive. Find a Rebbe, learn brachos, Know what bracha to make before which particular food, and halacha l'maisa, don't steal from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Don't misappropriate divine property. Understand that before you partake of anything in this world, you must make a bracha. Otherwise, I'm committing an act of mi'ilah. Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, anyone who benefits from something in this world without making a bracha, it's as if he has benefited mikadshei shemayim from items that have the highest level of sanctity. Shnei Amar la shema aretz umla'ah. Because the pasuk says that the world belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if the world belongs to God, everything in it belongs to God as well. And therefore, if I take something without making a bracha, I'm misappropriating divine property. Rabbi Levi Ramiksiv. So also Rabbi Levi contrasts the psukim. On one hand, it says la shema aretz umla'ah. It says the world belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I'll say, so which one is it? Which one is it? Is it that the world, the earth belongs to God? Or is that the heavens belong to God, but the earth belongs to man? Which one is it? I'll say an incredible idea. Lo kashya, kan kodem bracha, amud beis, kan la'achar bracha. Wow. I'll say, before I make a bracha, everything belongs to God. That's the pasuk, lahashem ha'aretz umla. Everything belongs to God. Once I make a bracha, Hashamayim shamayim laHashem v'ha'aretz nasan livnei adam. Once you make a bracha, then ultimately, then you're permitted to partake. Then the world is yours, right? One little bracha, and the world becomes yours. But no bracha, mamish misappropriation from the divine. Very strong Gemara. Whoever goes ahead and benefits from this world without a bracha, it's as if he's stealing from God and stealing from the Jewish people. Shnei Amar gozel aviv v'imo va'omer in pesha chaver hu leish mashchis. A person who steals from his mother and his father, but he claims he has not done anything wrong. He is a friend to the man who is a destroyer. Who does this refer to? Ve'ein aviv ela HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ultimately, again, father refers to God. Shnei Amar halahu avicha kanecha ve'ein imo, who is my mother. Knesset Yisrael, that's the Jewish people. Shnei Amar shma b'ni musar avicha v'atito shtaros imecha. So we'll say, so again, therefore, what do you see? Gozel, the one who steals from his father and his mother. Who is the one who's stealing? That's the one who partakes of this world without a bracha. Without a bracha. He's stealing from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, stealing from Klal Yisrael. So we'll see what that means. What does it mean? Mai chaver hu leish mashchis. What does it mean that he's a friend to a destructive individual? Chaver hu li'Yeravam ben Nevat. He is a friend, right, to Yeravam ben Nevat. I will say, one person you don't want to be friends with is Yeravam ben Nevat. Right? Yeravam ben Nevat, remember again, was the first king over the split kingdom of Yehuda and Yisrael. Now, to point out, Yeravam ben Nevat began as a very, very, very good man, a very pious man. But unfortunately, again, his thirst for power clouded everything and ultimately led to his descent into terrible terrible behaviors. So the idea is, also, a person goes ahead, it's actually a very strong Gemara, person goes ahead and doesn't make brachas and partakes of this world without making brachas, he becomes a chavrusa, he's a friend, he's a chaver, to Yeravam ben Nevat shehishchis es Yisrael la'avim shabashamayim, who destroyed the relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Klal Yisrael. Well, if you take a look at Rashi, Rashi says something very interesting. He says, Ein pesha, Rashi says, Ulafishu mekel roim ha'achirim ulamedin mimenu la'asos kem nehanos mina olam below bracha. Ulakach nikra zah mekel chaver lishmashchis. So Rashi points out very interesting. So I understand, if I go ahead and I eat and I take without a bracha, and I eat without a bracha, I understand why I'm stealing from God. Okay, I'm stealing from God. Pasuk also says I'm stealing from Klal Yisrael, and I'm a chaver, I'm a friend of Yeravam ben Nevat. What does that mean? First of all, what does it mean I'm stealing from Klal Yisrael? And what does it mean I'm a friend of Yeravam ben Nevat? So Rashi says, Yeravam ben Nevat, his depravity was manifest in the fact that not only did he destroy himself, but he actively destroyed the bond between so many other Jews and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Rashi says something amazing. If people see me being lax with brachas, right? People see me, when I see me, it's any of us, right? People see me being lax with brachas. So I will say, all of us have people who look up to us for behavioral modeling, right? What we do. So if people see me not making brachas, then what's going to happen? they're going to say, oh, if Ploni doesn't make brachas, I don't have to make brachas also. Which means, Rabbi say, amazingly enough, I have a Yeravam ben Nevat-like effect on Klal Yisrael. Yeravam ben Nevat eroded the bond between the Jew and his God. Chas v'shalom, if I am lenient on brachas and others learn from my behavior, unfortunately, I become a chaver. I become a friend to Yeravam ben Nevat. So Rabbi say, two incredible yisodos. Number one, the power of a bracha. The power of a bracha, Rabbi say, that the world belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu until the moment you make a bracha. It's only once you make a bracha that it becomes yours. And if you don't make that bracha, it's mamish, the Gemara says, like a person is stealing from the Rebbeinu Shalom. A person is mamish misappropriating divine property. Not only that, Rabbi say, sometimes you don't realize that there's always someone not just looking at us, but there's always someone learning from us. And whether it's our children, whether it's our friends, whoever it is, there's always someone not just looking, but always someone learning. And therefore I have to be so careful to keep my standards of behavior as high as possible, because I never know when someone is learning from me and modeling themselves after me. So if I'm lenient in brachas, then ultimately again someone might say, well, if Ploni is lenient in brachas, I can be lenient in brachas as well. I would say, here we go. We'll say an incredible Gemara. Rabbi Chanina bar Papa Ramiksiv, lakachti digani biito. So we'll say, Rabbi Chanina bar Papa, contrast it to psukim. On one hand, the pasuk says, "V'lakachti digani biito." I will take my grain in its time. Uksiv asafta diganecha. And then it says, "You shall collect your grain." So we'll say, so two contradictory psukim. So one pasuk says that the grain belongs to God, and the other pasuk says the grain belongs to us. So which one is it? Lo kasha kan bizman she'yisrael osin retzono shel makom, kan bizman she'en yisrael osin retzono shel makom. We'll say now the machlokes, when Klal Yisrael does the will of God, Kadosh Baruch Hu says the grain is yours. When we don't fulfill the will of God, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm taking back my grain. We'll see, now we come to perhaps one of the most profound Gemaras in all of Shas. Here we go. Tan Rabbanan. V'yasafta diganecha. The pasuk says, you shall collect your grain. So ma Talmud lomar. So we'll say, what does it mean? L'fi shenamar yamush lo yamush sefer Torah zemipicha. We'll say, on one hand, the pasuk says, the Torah shall never cease from your mouth, which sounds like what? A person should always be learning. Person should always be learning. Yochel dvarm kich savan. You might have thought that again. I will say that's the way it is. Your person is always supposed to be learning to the exclusion of everything else. First, why laman the base? Talmud lomar v'yasafta diganecha. Therefore, the pasuk says, "You shall collect your grain." Hanheg bahen minag derech eretz div Rabbi Shmuel. So Rabbi Shmuel says, I will say that what? You have to work. You have to work. The pasuk says, "V'yasafta diganecha." V'yasafta diganecha is the mandate to work. The mandate to work. What does that mean? Lo yamush sefer Torah zemipicha, that you should never stop learning. The idea is, Torah has to be a constant, fundamental part of your life, right? Torah is not just something I do for an hour, for a little bit here, a little bit there. Torah is something that is fundamentally part of my life and informs every aspect of my existence. But v'yasafta diganecha, you got to have a job. Rabbi Shmuel Silber says no. Efshar adam charish b'shas charisha v'zara b'shas zriyah v'kotzer b'shas ktsira v'dash b'shas disha v'zara b'shas haruach. So let's say Rabbi Shmuel says, 1 second. If a person's going to have a job, then what's going to happen? He's going to always be busy, right? If he's going to always be busy, so he's giving an agricultural example, right? In the agricultural world, there's always something to do. So he's going to be plowing and planting and harvesting and sowing. Torah, matei aleh. We'll say if a person is always working, then what's going to be with their Torah? Ella, says Rabbi Shmuel Yochai, Bizman she'yisrael osin ritzono shel makom melachton naasis al yidei achirim. Rather, the Gemara says, at a time ultimately again when Klal Yisrael does the will of God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes care of us. Our work will be taken care of through others. Shneimar va'amdu zarim v'uru'utzonachem bizman she'en Yisrael osin ritzono shel makom melachton naasis al yidei atzman. But ultimately again, when Klal Yisrael doesn't fulfill the will of God, that's Rabbi say when what? That's when we have to work and we're going to have to take care of ourselves. Shneimar v'yasafta diganecha. Not only that, Ella shemeleches achirim naseh. When we don't fulfill the will of God, not only do we have to do our own work, but what? will have to do the work of others. So we'll say, so you hear this machlokes? You should be falling off your chairs. Hear this machlokes? Rabbi Shmuel or Rashbi, Rabbi say, by the way, it's also not an accident who the personalities are of you, right? Rabbi Shmuel Kohen Gadol, right? The person who worked very hard on behalf of Klal Yisrael understands that real change requires work. Who's Rashbi? Let's remember again, Rashbi lives on a different level, right? Rabbi Shmuel, you've heard of him. Getting a lot of blank stares here. Okay, right, good morning. Right, they also say, remember again, this Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, right, who lived in the cave and was supported ultimately again by a stream and by Buxar. I just want to point out, also very important, when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says that all you have to do is learn Torah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be taken care of, will take care of, we'll say, take care of you is a very relative term, right? Take care does not mean, right, late model vehicles and beautiful homes, right, and everything you want. Take care means, oh yeah, if you put your complete reliance in God, Kadosh Baruch Hu will give you a beautiful crystal clear stream and a tree of Buxar. And as long as you're good with that, right, as long as you're okay with water and Buxar, then absolutely HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take it. It's very, very important. People very often misunderstand this Gemara to think that all you need to do is learn, put your complete reliance on God, and everything will be taken care of. That's not, everything will be taken care of as long as you are exceptionally low maintenance. If you're a Buxar water guy, absolutely, this is going to work for you. If you need a level of comfort above Buxar and water, you probably should get a job. So I will say, so fundamental machlokes here between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. No, it's very, this understand, this is a yesodistic machlokes about what is the proper derech in life. Right? What's the proper derech in life? Should I have a job and ultimately supplement my day as much as I can with Torah? Or is there this concept of fundamentally giving over my life to Torah and Hashem Ya'azar, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help? So we'll say, Rashbi says, give your life over to Torah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help. Rabbi Shmuel says, no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Ultimately, again, support yourself, have a livelihood, and devote yourself to the best of your ability to learning and living Torah. So we'll say, so what's the conclusion? What's the conclusion? So we'll say, so understand, this is perhaps one of the most major machloksim, right? Hashkafic disputes in Klal Yisrael to this very day. To this very day, what is the paradigmatic lifestyle for the Jew? This plays out to this very day. Some Rabbi says, Harbe Osek Rabbi Shmuel v'al Sabiyadan. So Abaye says, many people tried like Rabbi Shmuel, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out. Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yochai, I'm sorry, Harbe Osek Rabbi Shmuel v'al Sabiyadan. Many people tried like Rabbi Shmuel's approach, and it worked. Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yochai v'lo al Sabiyadan, like Rashbi, and it didn't work. So we'll say, Rabbi Shmuel Levis has a beautiful in Sichos Musar. He discusses the idea that what is Gemara saying? Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yochai's approach is correct. It's correct. But it's not correct for the masses. It's correct for Yechidim. There are individuals who always have to devote themselves in totality to Torah. The Torah sanum nasan. Torah has to be their primary occupation. Torah has to be what they live and what they breathe. But that's some. Harbe asu v'lo al sabiyadan. It doesn't work for a society, right? It doesn't work for large groups of people. It's not a sustainable model for a large number of people. That's what it means over here. Harbe asu Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai v'lo al sabiyadan. Yechidim, absolutely. There always must be some small segment of Klal Yisrael that is wholly and totally devoted to Torah. But when it becomes larger numbers, that's ultimately, again, when it's a difficult model to sustain. So we'll say, there's much more to say on this Gemara, but we're only in the middle of Amud Days, and it's 6:42. Because it says, so we'll say, Rabbi used to say to his students, I beg of you, b'yomei Nisan and b'yomei Tishrei. So we'll say, the days of Nisan, days of Tishrei. Rashi points out, the days of Nisan is the harvest season, the days of Tishrei are the pressing season. So Rava would say to his students, in Nisan and in Tishrei, lo tischazu kamai, do not come to the Beis Medrash. Why? What do you mean don't come to the Beis Medrash? Was whoever heard such a thing like this from their Rebbe? Don't come to the Beis Medrash. What he was saying to them is, go to work. Go to work. During the harvest season, during the pressing season, I don't want to see you in the Beis Medrash. I want you to be in your fields. Why? Because I'll say what happens. See, so Rava said like this. If you go ahead and you take care of your harvest, you take care of your pressing, devote yourself to work during those seasons, then in Miras Hashem you'll be able to learn with a clear head the rest of the time. Masha'en kain, if you're always right, if you don't devote yourself to your parnasa at some point in time, you're going to spend the entire year running around to try to make a parnasa. So much better to devote yourself during the harvest season and the pressing season. Know that you're taken care of, and then you could devote yourself the rest of the time to your learning, as opposed to going ahead and always being all over the place and never having yishav adas, wondering ultimately again where your parnas is going to come from. An incredible Gemara. I will say much more to speak about this. There's an incredible, voluminous amount of literature on this Gemara. What Rashbi really meant, what Rabbi Shmuel really meant, what was the nature of their argument. Harbe asu. All right, another time. Both say, see how the earlier generations were so much holier than the present generations. Doros harishonim asu lahem torasan keva malachtan arai. Earlier generations, they made their Torah a fixed study, and work was a more temporal thing. Vizu is kind of, and I want to point out, this does not refer to number of hours. This refers to orientation. Both at the end of the day, I ask myself, what is the most important part of my day? Is the most important part of my day the hours I spend in my office, or the most important part of the day, the time I spend learning and davening, serving on Kadosh Baruch Hu? And I both say that doesn't matter how much time is allotted to each. So both say what it's saying over here is earlier generations, they understood the primary part of their day was the part of the day they were steeped in their avodas Hashem, their learning and their davening. That was the primary part of the day. Even though again more hours might have been devoted ultimately again to their work. Therefore, again, they were successful in both. But later generations, but later generations who made their work keva, they placed the primary importance on their career, and spirituality was relegated to a second tier of importance. Then what happened? Unfortunately, neither ultimately worked out. So Yabba said an incredible musar. When work becomes the primary drive of my life, and spirituality and holiness is relegated to back burner status, then unfortunately, I'm neither successful in my work, nor am I successful in my spirituality. The success of earlier generations was the ability to create a proper priority in life. Ruchnius must always come first, even if there are more hours allocated to Gashmius. Right? Even if my parnasa gets the bulk of my time, where is my head? Where is my focus? If my focus is on my spiritual development, my avodas Hashem, zu v'zunis kan b'yad. Rabbi, we have to stop over here. We'll pick up a Miras Hashem over here tomorrow. Shkoyach.